Welcome to the imaginal door. Before we begin, settle in and remember this. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the workshop where your life is quietly made. Let's step inside. The work that is truly yours does not begin by hiring you. It begins by recognizing the person you have already become. That is the first shock. You thought the right role would come, and then you would feel chosen. Neville would reverse the whole order. He would say that consciousness is the only reality, and the world has no choice but to clothe the state you are occupying. Work is not first a job title, a company, a contract, or a calendar invitation. Work is a state, a mood of usefulness, a place within yourself where your gifts are no longer begging for permission to exist. Mara learned this at a small kitchen table in Bristol, with a cold mug of tea beside her laptop and 12 open tabs of job listings she no longer believed in. She was not lazy. She was exhausted from applying as the same woman who secretly felt unwanted. Every cover letter had the scent of apology. Every interview in her imagination began with someone asking, "Why should we choose you?" and ended with her trying to sound acceptable. Here is what no one tells you about calling in work that feels truly yours. You cannot imagine from the person trying to be rescued by employment and expect to receive the life of the one already placed. The imaginal act must be performed from a different occupant. Most manifestation advice says to visualize the job, see the desk, see the offer letter, see the salary. That can become another form of chasing. Neville's deeper instruction was not to think of the desire, but to think from it. To think from it means you do not stare at work like a stranger outside a lit house. You sit inside the house. You hear the kettle. You know which drawer holds the spoon. The reason the old pattern holds is simple and brutal. You keep rehearsing availability as absence. You check postings as the one left out. You update your profile as the one not yet validated. You speak to friends as the one waiting for life to begin again. The world is not punishing you for wanting. It is echoing the state from which you want. Ask yourself this plainly. When you imagine your working life, are you inside the fulfillment, or are you still standing before a locked door? So the first technique is not grand. It is exact. Tonight, when your body has grown quiet and the room has softened, enter the state akin to sleep. Let your breathing become slow enough that you are not forcing the mind. Then build one short scene that would happen after the work is already yours. Not the interview, not the email after. Mara chose a scene of walking home at dusk with a canvas bag on her shoulder. She could feel the strap against her coat. She could hear traffic by the canal. Her sister called and asked, "How was your day?" Mara answered, almost laughing, "It felt like me." That was all. 4 seconds. No announcement. No drama. Only the natural aftertaste of belonging. This is the point. The scene must imply fulfillment, not request it. The feeling is not excitement. Excitement often still contains distance. The feeling is placement, a quiet inner click, as if your life has stopped asking where you fit. Before you sleep tonight, do not perform a ceremony. Do not bargain with heaven. Put away the search for a moment. Close your eyes and become the one who already has a day to return from. Feel one ordinary object in that fulfilled day. A bag, a key, a coffee cup, a message from a colleague, the weight of your shoes after meaningful use. Repeat the tiny scene until it feels less like imagination and more like memory. I have watched this turn quietly, again and again. Not because the scene forces the world, but because the scene changes the being who walks into it. The outer world meets states, and your first work is to occupy the inner occupation. Takeaway: do not imagine work coming to you. Imagine from the one who has already come home to their work. But once you have entered the occupation, you must stop worshiping the title and learn to feel the function beneath it. You do not want the title as much as you want the version of yourself that breathes inside it. That is where many sincere students of Neville lose the thread. They imagine creative director, consultant, designer, therapist, founder, writer, researcher, or strategist, but they never touch the inner function. They repeat the label, while still feeling useless, unseen, or interchangeable. A title without a felt function is only a costume placed on the old self. Neville's teaching on feeling was never shallow emotion. Feeling is the secret does not mean trying to feel happy about work while privately fearing you are unneeded. It means finding the felt reality of the state itself. What does it feel like to be someone whose perception is useful? What does it feel like to be called upon because your way of seeing has value? What is the inward posture of the person whose contribution has a natural place? Daniel, a tired UX researcher in Manchester, kept imagining a senior role at a respected studio. He could see the office. He could see the glass walls. He could even see his name in a welcome email. But the scenes felt thin. They produced a burst of hope, then a deeper ache. One evening, after another polite rejection, he noticed the true desire was not the studio. It was the sensation of being trusted with complexity. That changed the imaginal work. The old assumption had been, I need someone important to certify that I am serious. Because of that, every inner scene placed the employer above him and himself below. He could not feel chosen because he was still imagining from inferiority. Most people think the obstacle is lack of clarity. Often the obstacle is a hidden hierarchy. You are not confused about what you want. You are kneeling before it. Here is the counterintuitive part. The title can delay you if you use it as proof. Neville would ask you to enter the consciousness of being, not the decoration around being. If the role fits, it will carry a certain inner temperature. That is what you are after. Ask yourself, what exact function do I keep longing to perform when no one is watching? Daniel stopped imagining the job title. In the drowsy state before sleep, he entered a meeting already underway. He felt his hand resting on a notebook. Someone across the table said, "Can you stay with this? You see the pattern faster than we do." He did not make the person worship him. He did not make the room applaud. He simply felt the calm responsibility of being useful. He looked down and saw a sketch of user journeys in blue ink. That one detail made the scene physical. The imaginal technique here is to remove the title and keep the function. Do not begin with "I am hired as," begin with the lived act. Are you explaining, designing, teaching, repairing, leading, listening, building, protecting, translating chaos into order? Choose one small moment where your faculty is in use and accept it as natural. Tonight's move is direct. Lie down. Let the day fall off. When the mind grows soft, enter a 4-second scene in which your particular gift is being used without strain. Hear one sentence that implies trust, not flattery, trust. You understand this. We need your eye here. This is why we wanted you on this. Then feel the body of the one who receives that sentence without shrinking. I will say this plainly, if the imagined scene makes you perform, simplify it. The fulfilled self is rarely dramatic. The fulfilled self is often absorbed, present, needed but not desperate to be needed. You are not calling in a costume. You are assuming a living function. When the function becomes natural within you, the form has a way of finding its correct door. Takeaway: stop imagining the title as proof. Feel the function as already alive. And once the function is alive, desire stops being a fantasy and becomes an assignment. What if the desire for meaningful work is not a problem to solve, but a summons to obey? Neville did not treat desire as an accident. He taught that desire is the voice of the deeper self calling you into expansion. But the ordinary mind hears desire and immediately turns it into pressure. How will I get it? Who will help me? What if I am late? What if the field is crowded? In 1 hour, a sacred summons becomes a spreadsheet of fear. Priya felt this in Toronto while working a safe administrative job in a medical supply company. Her work was respectable, steady, and quietly deadening. At lunch, she would sit beside the window and read essays about urban design. She noticed alleyways, public benches, the loneliness of certain intersections. Something in her wanted to work on spaces that made people feel less erased. But every time the desire rose, she translated it into impossibility. She was too old to pivot, too practical to start again, too responsible to want what she wanted. The inner law here is that desire names a state before the world has furnished it. It is not always telling you the exact job title. It may be telling you the being you are meant to occupy. Neville would say the state already exists. You do not manufacture it. You move into it. The desire is the knock from that state. The trap is arguing with the knock. Most manifestation advice says to clarify the desire until you can make a clean list. That can help, but it can also become a defense against surrender. You keep refining the wish because entering the state would require you to give up the old identity of sensible person who does not ask too much. The reason it has not moved is not that desire is weak. It is that you keep putting it on trial. Ask yourself in the middle of this, what desire have you been treating as evidence that you are unrealistic, when it may be evidence that a new state is calling you? Priya's imaginal practice became very small. She did not visualize a famous planning firm. She did not force a perfect career path. In the state akin to sleep, she entered a simple scene. She stood at a community hall after a workshop. Folding chairs were stacked near the wall. A woman in a green coat touched her arm and said, "The way you described the street made me feel seen." Priya felt a rolled-up map under her hand. She felt the humility of service. The scene did not shout, "New career." It whispered, "This is your assignment." That is the technique. Find the human meaning inside the work, not the applause, not the status, the meaning. Build a scene where your work has touched someone in the way your desire secretly wants to touch the world. If you long to write, hear one reader say a line stayed with them. If you long to design, feel someone using the space with relief. If you long to coach, hear the exhale of a person who finally understands themselves. Keep it concrete. Keep it bodily. Keep it after the fact. Before sleep tonight, do not ask, "What job will give me this?" Ask, "What state is this desire inviting me to occupy?" Then enter a scene that answers. Let one person benefit from your work. Let your body know the feeling of being an instrument rather than an applicant. Stay there until the desire loses its panic and gains dignity. I have seen people misunderstand this and become passive. That is not Neville. Assumption does not make you inert. It changes the place from which you move. Priya still studied, wrote to people, took evening courses, and asked questions. But the inner action came first. She was no longer trying to earn permission to care. Desire is not begging you to chase a future. It is appointing you to an identity. Takeaway: treat your desire for true work as a summons, not a symptom. But to answer that summons, you must stop entering every opportunity as a nervous applicant. You cannot feel chosen while secretly imagining yourself on trial. That is not a moral statement. It is a technical one. Neville taught that your assumption hardens into fact, but many people carry an assumption of being evaluated, tolerated, compared, and possibly dismissed. Then they call that state being realistic. They do not notice that realism has become a ritual of inner rejection. Jonas, a software engineer in Copenhagen, had strong experience and a quiet intelligence, but every interview in his mind became a tribunal. Before any real conversation happened, he had already placed 3 strangers above him and handed them the power to define his worth. He imagined himself explaining gaps, defending choices, apologizing for not knowing enough. When an actual interview came, his body obeyed the scene he had rehearsed. His voice tightened. His humor vanished. His answers sounded smaller than his ability. Under Neville's philosophy, the outer interview is not the first interview. The first interview is imaginal. You are always rehearsing a relation to the world. Are you a supplicant asking the gate to open, or a professional meeting another professional at the level of mutual recognition? The old state stays alive because it feels responsible. I should prepare. Yes, prepare. But preparation from inferiority becomes self-hypnosis. You read job descriptions as accusations. You interpret silence as verdict. You review your history as if searching for stains. Most people say, be confident. That is thin advice. Confidence is not pasted on. It is the natural atmosphere of a state in which your place is already inwardly granted. Let me be exact here. Retiring the applicant does not mean arrogance. It means you stop making another person the source of your being. In Neville's terms, you cease granting second causes ultimate power. The interviewer, client, recruiter, or committee may be part of the bridge. They are not the creator of your identity. Ask yourself, when you imagine being considered for work, do you feel like a whole person in conversation or a defendant waiting for sentencing? Jonah's changed one scene. Before sleep, he stopped imagining the outcome. Instead, he imagined the middle of a calm conversation after mutual respect had already been established. He sat in a chair with warm light from a window on his left. A woman across from him leaned back, smiled slightly, and said, "That way of thinking would help our team." Jonas felt his own feet on the floor. He did not rush to impress her. He answered slowly, as the man whose value was not on trial. That is the imaginal act for this lesson. Create a scene of mutuality. Do not make them desperate to hire you. Do not make yourself superior. Make the atmosphere equal. Let the other person be a witness to a value you have already accepted. Feel your spine. Feel the chair. Feel the pace of your speech. Let your nervous system learn the assumption. I meet opportunity as one who belongs in the room. Tonight's practice is simple. Choose one work doorway in your life, whether it is a job, client, collaboration, pitch, audition, or portfolio review. In the drowsy state, enter a conversation already warmed by respect. Hear one sentence that implies your work is understood. Then respond from ease, not from performance, from ease. Repeat only until it feels natural. Stop before you turn it into strain. Here is what I have noticed. The old applicant loves to rehearse because rehearsing feels like control. But it is often worship of rejection in disguise. You are allowed to prepare without praying to the possibility of being dismissed. The world does not need you smaller in order to choose you. It meets the self you have consented to be. Takeaway: enter opportunity as mutual recognition, not personal trial. And when the trial is over, the old office wounds that shaped your identity can finally be revised. The job you left may still be employing your imagination. Neville called revision the pruning shears of the mind. That phrase is often repeated, but rarely obeyed with precision. Revision is not pretending nothing happened. It is refusing to let a past scene remain the creative seed of your present identity. When it comes to work, many people are not only seeking a new role, they are still occupied by an old room. Elise had once worked in a narrow clinic office in Lyon, where her manager corrected her in front of 2 colleagues over a scheduling mistake. The event lasted less than a minute. The echo lasted 3 years. Anytime she considered applying for operations roles, she felt the same heat in her chest. In her imagination, authority meant humiliation. Being visible meant danger. Responsibility meant the possibility of being exposed. That is the inner principle. A remembered scene is not dead if you keep feeling it as true now. Consciousness does not ask whether the event is old. It asks whether you are still wearing the state. Neville's revision is the act of changing the felt meaning of the event so that it no longer generates the same self. The stuckness is subtle. You may say you want aligned work, but your body is still protecting you from the kind of visibility aligned work would require. You avoid applying, delay sending the proposal, soften your voice, undercharge your skill, or choose roles beneath your capacity because some earlier scene taught you that being capable invites attack. Most manifestation advice tells you to ignore the past and focus forward. That sounds clean. It often fails. The past you have not revised becomes the lens through which you imagine the future. You do not need to worship the wound, but you do need to remove its authority. Ask yourself gently, what old work moment still decides how much room you are allowed to take? Elise's technique was not to rewrite her whole career. She took one scene. She waited until night, let the body become heavy, and returned to the clinic office in imagination. The fluorescent light softened. The manager's face changed from accusation to clarity. In the revised scene, he stepped aside and said privately, "This was a system problem, not your character. Let's fix it together." Elise felt her own shoulders drop. She saw one colleague place a file calmly on the desk and nod with respect. She did not make the past glamorous. She made it non-wounding. That is how you prune the office echo. Choose a single work memory that still has emotional charge. Enter it in imagination, not to relive it, but to redeem the self inside it. Give that earlier self the dignity, protection, or recognition they did not receive. Change the emotional fact. The subconscious does not feed on historical accuracy. It feeds on accepted feeling. Tonight's move is to revise only one moment. Do not open the whole archive. Find the scene that comes first when you think, "I am not safe being fully seen at work." Let your body become drowsy. Replay the scene as it should have been. Hear a different sentence. See one supportive face. Feel yourself standing there as someone intact. Then sleep from the relief of that correction. I have watched people resist this because they think revision excuses others. It does not. Revision frees you from continuing their work inside your own mind. It removes the old employer from the payroll of your imagination. After revision, you may still remember what happened, but memory loses its command. You are no longer being managed by a ghost. Take away, revise the work wound until it stops applying for your future. And once the echo is pruned, your inner speech must stop rebuilding the same old office. Your inner speech is already negotiating your next position. Not later, not when you meditate, not when you make a list. All day under the visible mind, you are speaking from a state. Neville placed enormous weight on inner conversations because he understood that the conversations you consent to inwardly become the atmosphere you carry outwardly. Work that feels truly yours cannot grow in a mind where you keep calling yourself late, foolish, replaceable, or hard to choose. Matteo ran a small photography practice in Austin. His work was careful and intimate, but after every inquiry he held a private argument. They probably want someone cheaper. They'll think I'm too slow. I should have replied differently. He smiled in emails, then used his imagination to cancel his own value. He called it anxiety. It was also creative speech. The principle underneath this lesson is that inner talking is assumption in motion. A repeated inner conversation is not harmless commentary. It is a rehearsal of identity. When you say, "No one understands my work," you are not just describing pain. You are occupying the state of the misunderstood worker. When you say, "People always choose someone else," you are practicing exclusion. You may still be talented, but your inner workroom is full of hostile voices. The reason this persists is that negative inner speech feels like preparation. You think you are protecting yourself from disappointment by rehearsing it first. That is the myth. The mind says, if I expect less, I will hurt less. Neville would call that false wisdom. You are not softening the blow, you are planting the assumption. Ask yourself with some honesty, whose voice do you allow to speak inside your workroom when no one else can hear? Matteo's imaginal technique began during the day, not only at night. Whenever he caught himself saying, "They will not pay for this," he did not argue for 10 minutes. He replaced the entire inner conversation with one short exchange. He imagined a client looking at a gallery of images on a tablet near a bright window and saying, "This feels honest. This is exactly why we came to you." Matteo answered inwardly, "I'm glad you can feel it." Then he dropped it. No strain, no lecture. A new conversation had been accepted. At night, he deepened it. In the state akin to sleep, he heard a voicemail from a client after receiving the final photographs. Not praise as addiction, recognition as fact. "You caught what we could not say." He felt the phone warm in his hand. He let the sentence enter the body as normal. That is the practice. Guard the workroom within by refusing to host conversations that deny your place. This is not forced positivity. It is lawful selection. You are choosing the conversations that belong to the state you intend to occupy. If a harsh sentence appears, do not wrestle with it. Replace the room. Hear the voice that would be present if your work were already understood. Tonight's move is to write down one recurring inner sentence about work that weakens you. Only one. Then, before sleep, create its fulfilled opposite as a living exchange. Not an affirmation floating in the air. A conversation. A specific person in a specific place saying words that imply your work has landed. Let yourself answer calmly. If you cannot believe a long sentence, make it shorter. I have seen this change people because it returns authority to the unseen. The world may still be quiet for a time, but the inner office has changed management. You are no longer holding meetings with rejection. Your calling needs a clean room in consciousness before it needs a public address. Takeaway: do not let rejected inner speech draft the contract of your work. When the inner room becomes clean, the next sign of fulfillment is not intensity. It is naturalness. If your fulfilled work still feels like a miracle, you may still be outside it. This is one of Neville's sharpest and least sentimental teachings. The sign of an accepted assumption is naturalness, not fireworks, not constant emotional intensity. Naturalness. The desire begins to feel like something that belongs in your world. It may still be beautiful, but it no longer feels foreign. Ruth, a former teacher in Wellington, wanted to move into educational publishing. She imagined announcements, congratulations, dramatic emails, and sudden breakthroughs. Each scene gave her a rush. Then it collapsed into emptiness. The reason was not that she imagined poorly. It was that her scenes kept the desire exceptional. She was still the outsider looking at a golden life through glass. The inner principle is that the subconscious accepts what feels natural to the self you are being. Neville did not ask you to strain toward ecstasy. He asked you to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Fulfilled things are often quiet. A home you live in does not feel like a hotel lobby every morning. A name that is yours does not shock you every time someone says it. Work that is truly yours becomes part of your ordinary atmosphere. The old state stays stuck because longing can become addictive. You think intensity equals faith. You think if you stop feeling desperate, you have stopped caring. This is backwards. Desperation often proves that the desire is still positioned as absent. Naturalness is not apathy. Naturalness is possession without panic. Most advice tells you to amplify emotion, make it bigger, feel it harder, push until you are convinced. Neville's way is subtler. If the feeling becomes theatrical, ask whether you are performing fulfillment or occupying it. there is a difference. Ask yourself, would the version of you already doing this work be constantly checking whether it is coming? Or would they have emails to answer, tea to drink, and a normal Wednesday to live? Ruth changed her imaginal scene from the announcement to the second month. She imagined sitting at a small desk near a window, reviewing a chapter draft with pencil marks in the margin. Rain moved softly outside. A colleague had left a note that said, "Can you check pages 18 to 23 when you have a minute?" That was all. No applause, no revelation, just inclusion in the rhythm of the work. She felt the pencil in her fingers. She felt mild concentration. She felt that this was her day. That is the technique. Move beyond the peak moment. Imagine the ordinary aftermath. Not receiving the offer but living 2 weeks later. Not getting the client but making the second revision. Not being invited but knowing where the coffee machine is. Choose a scene so normal that the old self finds it almost disappointing. That disappointment may be withdrawal from drama. Let it pass. Before sleep tonight, create a fulfilled scene that contains one mundane detail. A calendar reminder, a half-finished document, a familiar commute, a message that begins, "When you get in tomorrow, feel the lack of shock." Let the nervous system learn that this life is not too high for you. It is your level. I say this from observation. People often block their chosen work by keeping it sacred in the wrong way. They place it on an altar so high that they can never inhabit it. The law asks you to bring it down into bread, keys, weather, and routine. When it feels natural, you stop begging the future to be extraordinary. You become the person for whom this work is simply life. Takeaway: the fulfilled state is not always thrilling. Often it is peacefully normal. And when the work becomes natural inside you, the people around it must be released from the role of judge. The employer is not the god of your future. The client is not the god of your future. The committee, the recruiter, the editor, the platform, the market, the algorithm, the old boss, the impressive stranger with a perfect profile. None of them sits on the throne unless you place them there inwardly. Neville's teaching that everyone is you pushed out is often misused as a way to control people. That is not the spirit of this work. In the context of calling in true work, it means the figures around your desire reflect the relation you are holding to yourself. Samira wanted to become a documentary editor. She lived in Berlin, worked part-time in a cafe, and sent careful emails to small production houses. But inwardly, every producer became a gatekeeper with a guarded face. She imagined them bored, unimpressed, too busy, already full. Before anyone replied, she had filled the room with refusal. Then she wondered why outreach felt like walking into winter. The principle here is that others occupy the role your assumption gives them in your consciousness. This does not remove their humanity. It removes your habit of making them final authority. You do not imagine a producer as a puppet. You imagine yourself as already occupying a state in which producers, clients, colleagues, and collaborators can recognize your place. The stuck pattern is the worship of external permission. You say, "I need them to see me," while inwardly assuming you are hard to see. You say, "I need one person to open the door," while imagining every person as a locked door. Most people try to change the outer person first. That is backwards. Change the relation within consciousness. Then meet the outer person from the new relation. Ask yourself, who have you silently cast as the one who can deny your life? Samira's technique was exact. At night, she entered a small editing suite after a screening. There was a paper cup of coffee on the desk. A producer stood near the doorway, not above her, not dazzled by her, simply clear. He said, "You understood the silence between the scenes." Samira felt her hand resting on the keyboard. She did not need to convince him. In the imaginal room, he was not a judge. He was a witness. This distinction matters. A judge decides whether you may be real. A witness confirms what is already real. When you turn gatekeepers into witnesses, you are not violating their freedom. You are withdrawing the assumption that your value depends on their verdict. You meet them from the fulfilled state, and in imagination they take their proper place. Part of the scene, not the source of it. Tonight's move is to choose one person or type of person you have made too powerful. A hiring manager, a client, a professor, a buyer, a senior colleague. In the drowsy state, imagine them after your work has already been received. Let them speak one sentence of clear recognition, not worship. Recognition, feel yourself hearing it as normal, then let the scene end. I have watched this become especially powerful for people who are gentle by nature. They do not want to dominate anyone, so they accidentally submit to everyone. Neville's teaching offers a cleaner way. You neither dominate nor submit. You assume. During the day, when you send an email or walk into a meeting, remember the imaginal fact. This person is not here to manufacture your worth. They are here to meet the state you are occupying. You can be respectful without being spiritually bent over. Your work does not need a judge. It needs witnesses who meet you at the level you have accepted. Takeaway: remove people from the throne and let them witness the work already alive in you. Then your outward actions can become clean, because they no longer carry the smell of panic. Action cannot rescue the state that your imagination keeps abandoning. This is where many serious people get tangled. They hear Neville speak of imagination and think action does not matter. Then others tell them to work harder, network harder, optimize harder, and action becomes a whip. Both miss the center. Neville's teaching does not deny action. It changes its source. Action taken from lack tries to become the cause. Action taken from assumption becomes the natural expression of the cause already accepted within. Owen, a graphic designer in Chicago, applied to 57 roles in 6 weeks. He tracked everything in a spreadsheet with color-coded statuses. From the outside, he looked disciplined. From the inside, he was frantic. Every application said, "Please save me from being nobody." Every portfolio update carried the vibration of self-erasure. When he paused, he felt guilty. When he acted, he felt hollow. The inner principle is this: your acts are extensions of your state. The same email can be sent from panic or from placement. The same portfolio can be revised from shame or from stewardship. The same conversation can be entered as begging or as participation. The outer movement may look identical, but consciousness is the root. The reason stuck action exhausts you is that you keep asking action to do the work of assumption. You send one more message to feel chosen. You buy one more course to feel legitimate. You polish one more sentence because the self beneath it still feels unacceptable. Most productivity advice says, do more. Neville would ask, who is doing it? Ask yourself before your next work action. Am I moving as the one already placed, or as the one trying to purchase placement? Owen changed his practice in a very practical way. Each morning, before touching the spreadsheet, he sat for 3 minutes and entered an imaginal scene. He saw himself at a long table near a bright studio window, calmly choosing which project file to open first because his workday already had structure. He heard a project lead say, "Send the second version when you're ready." The sentence implied ongoing work. Then he opened his laptop and took one action from that state. One thoughtful application, one direct message, one portfolio change, not 50 acts of fear. That is the technique. First assume, then act as the assumed self would act today, not grandly, not passively, cleanly. Ask what action naturally belongs to someone whose work has a place. They might send the email, they might rest, they might refine the sample, they might decline a misaligned request, they might ask a sharper question. The action is not the law. The state is the law, but the state has hands. Tonight's move is to prepare tomorrow's one-placed action. In the state akin to sleep, imagine tomorrow after that action has been completed from ease. See the sent email, the uploaded piece, the scheduled conversation, the closed laptop after honest work. Feel the absence of inner begging. Then tomorrow, do that one action without making it responsible for your identity. I have watched people become much more effective when they stop using action as an emergency flare. Their words become cleaner. Their timing improves. They notice openings they used to rush past. This is not magic in the cheap sense. It is order. Consciousness first, motion second. The myth to break is that assumed fulfillment makes you lazy. No. True assumption often makes action more precise because you no longer act to stop fear. You act because the fulfilled state has something to do. Work that feels yours is not called in by frantic proof. It is expressed by the self who has stopped doubting the right to contribute. Takeaway: let action be the evidence of your state, not the price of your worth. And when the day is over, the deepest seed is planted where Neville returned again and again. The threshold of sleep. The last thought you wear at night may become the life you keep meeting tomorrow. Neville returned to the state akin to sleep because he understood that the borderland before sleep is a sacred workshop. The critical mind loosens. The body stops defending the old story with so much noise. In that quiet interval, an assumption can sink beneath effort and become seed. If you are calling in work that feels truly yours, the night is not where you review rejection. It is where you accept placement. Clara, a translator in Lisbon, had a habit of ending each day by checking messages she knew would not satisfy her. She refreshed inboxes, reread unanswered proposals, compared herself to younger people with cleaner websites, then tried to sleep inside the feeling of being behind. By morning, she woke not rested, but reappointed to the same state. Her days were different in detail and identical in atmosphere. The inner principle is that sleep seals identity, not because sleep is a spell, but because the state you consent to as consciousness withdraws becomes deeply persuasive. Neville's instruction was simple and demanding. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and fall asleep in that assumption. Do not fall asleep arguing with absence. Do not give the final word to delay. The stuckness is painfully common. You do good imaginal work for a few minutes, then spend the last hour before sleep mentally undoing it. You imagine belonging, then check the outer world for permission. You feel chosen, then rehearse being ignored. You plant one seed and water another. Most people think the problem is that their imagination is not powerful enough. Often the problem is that their last loyal act is given to the old state. Ask yourself tonight, what state usually receives your final consent before sleep? Clara made one rule not as discipline but as mercy. The last 10 minutes belong to the fulfilled self. No checking, no measuring, no mental court. She chose one scene she could repeat without strain. She was sitting by an open window in the morning, translating a page of a book that mattered to her. A blue cup stood beside the papers. An editor's note at the top said, "Your tone carries the author beautifully." She felt the page under her hand. She heard gulls beyond the street. She let the sentence become ordinary. Then she slept. That is the technique for crossing the drowsy threshold. Choose one scene that implies your work has found its channel. Make it short enough to repeat. Make it sensory enough to enter. Make it emotionally calm enough to sleep inside. The goal is not to stay awake perfecting details. The goal is to fall asleep as the one for whom the desire is resolved. Before you sleep tonight, do this. Put the phone away earlier than the old state prefers. Lie down. Let the body become heavy. Enter your chosen scene. Touch one object. Hear one sentence. Feel one quiet fact. This is my work now. If the mind wanders, return without scolding. If doubt speaks, do not answer it. Answer from the scene. Let sleep take you while you are inwardly employed by the fulfilled life. I will be direct. This practice is not dramatic enough for the part of you that wants fireworks. It is too simple for the ego and exact enough for the subconscious. Night after night, you are choosing where consciousness will dwell. That choice is not small. And when morning comes, do not dig up the seed with inspection. Rise as gently as you can from the same state. Drink water as the placed one. Open the curtains as the placed one. Take the next honest action as the placed one. The outer bridge may have its own timing and form, but your inner employment begins now. The work that feels truly yours is not a distant object you must drag toward you. It is a state asking to be inhabited until the world has room to mirror it. Take away, fall asleep placed, and let the day learn who you became in the night. The door does not open to the old self who begged outside it. It opens to the one who already lives in the room of fulfillment. That's all for now. Thank you for spending this hour with the imaginal door. Subscribe, return often, and remain faithful to the life you are quietly assuming.